Andrew Ritter joining the pod, the Ole Miss kicker from 2009 until 2013. Andrew, catch us up. What's been going on in the life of Andrew Ritter since your time with the Rebels?
Man, not much. Life's a lot different. I'm married, got a little young daughter, 2-year-old daughter, and work's a lot different than it was when I was in college and just worried about trying to kick a football and hang out with friends. So life is a lot different, but we're very blessed, man. And we actually live here in Oxford now, so we're very blessed with that and getting to get back involved with the program and going to all the games and basketball games and baseball games. So we're having a lot of fun, man. Life's good.
So I got to know you obviously through some different connections with work and you were here obviously as a player and I knew you then somewhat, but then after college, we kind of got to know each other as professionals, which
Yeah.
was really fun. But you're from Flowood, Mississippi. And I know this kind of the story, but we're doing this for everyone else. So I want to get some background to take. You grew up, or did you grow up an Ole Miss guy? And if
Oh
so,
yeah.
was there ever
Yeah.
a doubt you'd be a Rebel if you got the opportunity?
Oh yeah. So hey, I'm from Jackson, man. I'm not from Flowood.
Oh, I'm
Don't
sorry.
I'm kidding, but no, from Jackson. Grew up an Ole Miss fan. I'm actually a third generation graduate, but I'm kind of a fourth generation graduate. My great grandfather, he was a sports writer named Carl Walters. He dropped out of school in the eighth grade to help support his family way back when, and he ended up becoming a writer with an eighth grade education and ended up covering Ole Miss sports. So what my grandmother's always told me is that he's actually the university, I believe, might have declared him an honorary alumnus. So I call myself a fourth generation Ole Miss grad. So it's in my blood to say the least, and it was a huge blessing to be able to fulfill a dream of mine and play for Ole Miss. You know, growing up in that environment, I was in red and blue from the moment I came into this world, and then to be able to wear the jersey and run out of the tunnel, that was just a huge dream come true and a neat experience for me and my entire family. So it was a lot of fun.
So you have I've always felt like you're a bigger dude. Not, I don't mean like wide. I mean like you're
I'm getting
tall,
wide,
kind of
Brandon.
kind
I'm
of
getting wide.
lanky. I've always wondered like what other sports did you play in high school? Obviously, I don't think football was just the one, but what is like talk about that. What was some of the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
things you enjoyed doing?
So I went to JA Jackson Academy, and typically kind of private school, you play a little bit of everything, right? You have a lot more opportunity to play a lot more sports than the bigger public schools. So I was super involved in everything. Played basketball, football, soccer, and track all through junior high, and then in high school, I just played football, track, and soccer. Played church league softball and church league basketball. Because who didn't? And if you didn't, then I feel sorry for you because it's a lot of fun. But yeah, man, you would think I'd be a good basketball player because I'm just under 6'4", but I've got the I think I had the worst vertical on the Ole Miss football team when I was there. So my basketball skills were slim to none. But the kicking came from soccer. Soccer was kind of my first love, and especially growing up in elementary school. And then I fell in love with football, and fortunately was able to transition the kicking from soccer to football, and recognized I might have an opportunity to do that at the next level. And so that's kind of how it evolved. But in high school, I did play other positions. I played wide receiver and free safety. I played a little tight end and a little defensive end and linebacker from time to time. Had the opportunity to play a lot of positions, which was a lot of fun.
So when you came to Ole Miss, you kind of had to wait your turn, right? I mean, there were guys in front of you kicking, um, very successful guys in front of you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
kind of had to just wait it out. I know you redshirted. There was some hurry up and wait to your career. What was that like, and how hard was that to be patient in an era of people transfer to go play, right? You can go, you can transfer anywhere. And, if you transfer to a different level, you didn't have to sit out. Obviously, if you transfer on the same level, you'd have to sit out then.
Yeah.
Now it's completely different. But when you were there, you had to, sit out. But what was that process like of just getting here and then them saying, okay, well, you're gonna have to wait because we've got some guys here kicking.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, I mean, of course, coming out of high school, I mean, the dream is to play college football, but it's actually to play, right? Especially as a kicker. I mean, I wanted to kick field goals, and and fulfill that dream of mine. And so I got to Ole Miss, and it was Josh Sheen was the place kicker, and Justin Sparks and David Hankins had been doing kickoffs, and Sparks was also the starting punter. And so I had an opportunity to come in and compete for kickoffs. I knew I wasn't going to beat out Josh Sheen, but I was hoping I could compete for kickoffs as a true freshman. And fortunately, the stars kind of aligned, and I had a good opportunity to do that, and ended up getting the chance to start as a true freshman as the kickoff specialist. And then Josh graduated, and Justin Sparks graduated. And so then it was kind of a battle between myself and Bryson Rose for the starting place kicker position. And Bryson, he just beat me out. Bryson was really good, more talented, more consistent than I was, and he beat me out fair and square. And so I was his backup at the place kicking position. I continued to handle the kickoff duties. And it's, I deep down knew I wanted to kick field goals, and I wasn't satisfied just doing kickoffs. And so I tried to just keep my head down and keep working. Heck, you spend your whole life trying to get to this level and dreaming of being at that level, and you're there, and it doesn't happen overnight. And fortunately, I have really good parents, who tried to instill that in me and would tell me that over and over again, that, you just got to keep working for it. Transferring is not really an option. This is your home. This is where you want to be. And, if you want to get that field goal position, it's up to you, and you just got to keep buying your time and grinding it out. So that was kind of the philosophy I tried to keep. And then following my junior year, we had, Coach Nutt and that staff got fired, and Freeze was coming in. And at that same time, they were moving kickoffs from the 30-yard line to the 35-yard line. So kickoffs were about to get a lot easier. And I had an idea pop in my head of, shoot, Bryson's a redshirt senior. I'm a true senior. I have a year I could sit out, and kickoffs isn't that difficult anymore as we're moving up 5 yards. And so I had this idea of, I want to kick field goals. What if I redshirt this year and sit out? And that was really heavy on me. I talked to my dad about it, talked to some friends and mentors, and I decided that I was going to approach Coach Freeze. But heck, I didn't even know Coach Freeze yet, right? He'd just gotten there. Yeah. I'm worried I'm going to go to this guy I don't even know, and his immediate response is, I'm selfish player and I'm trying to sit out, or something like that. So I'm really nervous about it. But I spent a lot of time praying about it and trying to figure that out and see where the Lord was leading me. And I'm telling you, within a couple of days, it's spring practice, and we're in pre-practice warm-ups, and I'm kicking, and Bryson is kicking field goals, and then Tyler Campbell and is sitting there punting, and he looked at all of us and he said, "Do any of y'all have redshirt years remaining?" And it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." And so I said, "Coach, I've got a redshirt year that I haven't used, and I would love to talk to you about it." And so it was really neat how I've been praying about that. And then bam, Freeze actually presented it to me when I was the one freaking out about how to present it to him. And it turned around him trying to sell me on it. So it was really neat how it worked out, and a blessing. And so Tyler and I actually ended up redshirting our 4th years. And then we were able to stay for a 5th year. I was panicking, man. I was graduating in December of my 4th year. I was about to have to get a job, and like all my friends were still going to be in college. I was freaking out about that too. So it worked out really well. I was able to get that 5th year, that victory lap, and get my master's and get to kick field goals and kick off. So it worked out really well.
That's some NCAA on Xbox level roster management too. Redshirt and the senior to keep them. That's me back in the day doing that kind of stuff with my special teamers.
I was gonna say that's pretty unique. You don't really see that ever in college. I mean, you just don't. I mean, it's so rare. But it's cool that you had the opportunity to do it and were willing to do it. I think that's another.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
It worked out great. And Freeze's approach to it was, because Tyler was already the starting punter, right? I mean, Tyler didn't have to sit a year. And so his approach to us was, look, I've got 4 seniors who are specialists, and 2 of them have redshirted and 2 of them haven't. And I really don't want to be worried in my first year of recruiting and being the head coach here about trying to sign kickers and punters. So if y'all will work with me, we'll let you get your master's, and we'll pay for that. Your scholarship will pay for that and all that. So I mean, when Tyler and I sat down and talked about it, I was like, Tyler, I'm in, man. This is just on you if you want to do it. And he kind of had the same thought of, we get another year and get our masters, and it worked out well. It was definitely unique, but we're grateful it happened.
You're talking about the camaraderie with your teammates as a special teamer. We talked about it with Mac Brown too, and the current punter for Ole Miss is saying, you know what, I want to be as much of a part of a team, even though my job is so individualized. What was your mentality about being one of the guys, even though your position was such high pressure at times, you're on an island, but I want to be on this team. I am a member of what everybody else is doing here in Oxford.
Yeah, absolutely. And people have asked me that a good bit. Do you work out with the team? Do you do everything like that with the team? And yes, we did everything with the team. We wanted to run every sprint. We wanted to run every stadium, do every weight, push every sled, whatever it may be. We wanted to do all that just to have to have that bond, right? Because I mean, in reality, we had it easy when it came to season time. We might have been able to play a little ping pong during practice here and there or something, but which was the rest of the team would mess with us on as much as possible. But at the end of the day, there's just, when you go through all that together, you spend that much time with those guys, you just form a bond that you can't replicate. And we would get grief for being the specialist, and rightfully so. But at the end of the day, when it came time to line up for a play or for a snap or run out of the tunnel, I mean, those guys had our back just like anybody else. And so it was a really incredible experience. And we were grateful we were specialists so that we didn't have to hit or get hit by those guys, because they're very intimidating individuals. But it was a lot of fun and some incredible bonds that we'll carry for the rest of our lives.
Well, I'll have more on that in a little bit, Andrew, but I was going to let you plead the fifth because we didn't want to get Mac in trouble about talking what it's like being a specialist at practice. I've been over there. I've seen how you guys operate. Yeah. I'll allow you this forum to spill the tea, or like I said, you can plead the fifth here in this moment.
Yeah. So Mac's still in it. He's got he's, like you said, plead the fifth. I'm more than welcome to spill the beans. I'll say we were pretty much Olympic level ping pong players by the time we graduated. I mean, we're standing 10 yards away from the table, hitting forehands and backhands. It's pretty incredible. But we caught a lot of grief for it, and rightfully so.
But you talk about your team having your back. I'm sure there's no greater moment in your career where you felt the love than that LSU kick. And it's going to live on forever, Andrew. What was that moment like at the time? What do you recall about that time, about that night, being sent out onto the field and of course, making the kick against LSU?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, it was just a dream come true. We had just played such a good game. I mean, we had like 7 of our starters on defense were out with injuries. So we had all these true freshmen who had never really played real snaps in a game, who were in there playing the games of their lives. You got Chief Brown is making interceptions. Cody Pruitt's had interceptions. Our defense is playing their hearts out against, one of the top teams in the country. And we have a chance. We're up 7, and we have a chance to kick a field goal to go up by 10 and probably seal the deal. And it got blocked, and now it was just absolutely tearing me up on the sidelines that I might have just let my team down. And of course, we got the ball, and Bo and the offense started driving, and you can see it unfolding, right? This is coming, and on one hand, you're thinking, man, Bo, just throw a deep ball to Dante and get this thing over with. But on the other, you're like, man, this is what you've dreamed of and laid in bed at night as a kid thinking about. And so, on that hand, it's like, let it come down to me. Give me that opportunity, to have this memory in this moment. And so fortunately, that's what happened. And thank the good Lord it went in. There was a lot of prayer behind it. But, you look at the kick or the play, and you see the pictures, and you see all my teammates lined up on a knee, locked in arms. And that's really, really special, and we, after the game, the celebration, and just, like I mentioned just a minute ago, you spend so much time with those guys for those brief moments. I mean, there's such brief moments in the grand scheme of things. But that's everything you work towards from the time you're in the fifth grade if that was your dream, right? And it can all change so fast. So to be able to experience that with those guys, they deserved it. They deserved the win. And I'm just happy and proud that I was able to have a small part in it.
Man,
So it was
teared
awesome.
up talking about that.
What's that?
So I'm getting teared up talking about that. That was good.
I might too.
And right. In all seriousness, is it a moment that, because, you know, we, even in our professional lives, like sometimes I'll introduce you and I'll say, you know, hey, it's Andrew Ritter with XYZ company. He's the guy that made the kick against LSU.
Yeah.
It's like my introduction of you to people, to other clients. But is it a moment that you ever get sick of talking about? Will it ever get old? Or is it one of those where you're just like, look, I got to eat it up. I'm just going to.
Good. Great question. I would say no, it doesn't get old, and I would never let it get old, because if it had not gone in, I'd be in like Seattle, Washington, telling people, going by a different name. I'd have PTSD and all kind of stuff. So I'm just going to embrace it and try and move on and just be grateful it went in, because life, I would have had a lot of sleepless nights had it faded wide right or something.
What is so obviously that's a memory that is just stapled in your brain and in a lot of Rebel fans' brains, but in their memories of especially, you know, those early years of Coach Freeze and that group. But what are some other memories for you that stand out, that when you are just sitting back talking shop with people, that immediately kind of pop in your head where you go, oh man, this is one of my favorite memories or things from playing?
Yeah, man, there's so many good ones. And it's so much fun to get back together with my old teammates and talk about the stories. And, funny, a lot of the times the stories we end up telling the most of are the miserable times. It's just all the stuff we did together and experienced together. It's a lot of fun to reflect on. But I would say some of the fondest memories, that just immediately pop in my head are going to be, at Texas, our senior year. It's the second largest or third largest crowd in school history at that time. And they had beaten us pretty handily the year before. And we go in there and we're losing at half, but then we come out in the second half and kind of blow them out, beat them by 17, and seeing that stadium, all the burnt orange leaving the stadium in the fourth quarter, and then us all, going and running to our fans when the clock hits 0. That's an incredible memory. My freshman year, so many good memories from my freshman year, going to the Cotton Bowl, playing in Cherry World when it's brand spanking new stadium, and getting that win with those guys, Jevin Sneed and Dexter McCluster, and the confetti falling from the big screen. There's just so many good memories. We could go on for days about it, but there's so many memories of the off seasons, of the workouts, and just the meals we'd get fed, and I could go on for days, but those are some of the best ones that jump out to me.
All right, so you talked about your praying on it, getting ready to hit a big time kick at high pressure situations. The Rebels have a freshman kicker who's already capable of doing that. What's your opinion on Caden Costa? He looks like the real deal through just a few weeks.
Man, he's a stud. Coming in his first college game ever, and he absolutely pipes like a 47-yarder. I wasn't at 47, I think.
He hit 50 this past week. That's all I know.
Yeah, and he hit 50. And 50 impressed me, but like what impressed me the most was his first snap ever in college is a 47-yarder, and it couldn't have been more down the middle and smoked. That was impressive, and it showed that kid is, he's got what it takes, because that's the most nervous he'll probably ever be. That first kick in college, and for him to perform and execute like he did, and then come in a game where that 3 points ends up being the difference, and against a top SEC opponent right now, and that 50-yarder ended up winning us the game in the long run. He's got a bright future, and I'm excited that he's only a true freshman, and we got a lot of time left to watch him and utilize him.
Is that something you think about though? That's a great point, and it's something that I'm assuming you can't put in your head, because then you'll start getting the mental as the gymnasts say, the twisties, because I'm not going to use the S word because I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
But is it something that you're thinking about, like during the game? Like, hey, if I can we can tack on 3 here, like that may be the difference, or is it something where you go, okay, I'm doing my job, I'm going to go out and I'm going to kick and kind of keep it all simple and
Yeah. Yeah, good question. I mean, I think you got to just focus on that play, right? You just got to focus on your fundamentals and just trying to execute that play. Because if you start letting all that other stuff creep in, then it may start messing with your head. But I think, if even if you win that game, and you as the kicker go 2 for 4, you're happy that the team got a win, but you're not going to sleep well that night because
Right,
of those
yeah.
2 kicks. I mean, it just is what it is. If you're a competitor and it means a lot to you, then that's the way it's going to resonate. So I think even if for a guy like Caden, I don't know him, but my guess would be, if that had been us up, 3 touchdowns when he made that kick, it still would have meant just as much to him in that moment as it did in that game. So at least that's kind of the way I think the mindset you have to have rolling into those situations.
Sure. Gotcha.
I told you I would ask you about hitting. Your sports reference page says you have 9 career college tackles. Do you think that's an accurate assessment? Do you think that's too few or too many that Sports Reference has registered on the Andrew Ritter profile?
Man, that sounds low. No, that sounds accurate. Does it mention my forced fumble on there? Because we can talk about that too if you want. But yeah, man. Of course, that was back in the day. You kicked from the 30, so you didn't get as much touchbacks. And my sophomore year, I kind of went on and our special teams coach, Coach Shivas, who I absolutely love. His thought process on kicker for a kickoff guy was to not just hang back 20 yards. Like you see most of these kickers, they hang back 20 to 30 yards. Coach Shivas' mindset was, I want you to get up there. You're not in the thick of it, but you're right on the edge, and you're just kind of mirroring the return man and mirroring the hole, I guess. And so I would be right there on the edge of the action, and occasionally I'd slide in there and boost the stats up a little bit. They may have all been assists, but hey, I was trying to get my jersey to a little dirty from time to time.
You couldn't even get to double digits. Come on, dude.
I'm telling you, those stats are low.
2010 forced fumble. Go ahead, break it down.
Let's go. Oh, you really want that story?
Yes, I do.
It's a good one. All right, so this is one of my fonder memories, Brandon. So it's really funny because me and my buddies get together and we just laugh so much at this story. But I'm a sophomore and we're playing at Alabama. So first time to Bryant-Denny. Of course, when you look at the schedule, before you even get to college, you circle, those big stadiums you're going to get to go play in and when you're going to get to go. Well, we were doing this surprise onside kick that I had learned during that off season, and we really practiced it a whole lot. And what I would do, it's illegal now, but I'd come in just like my normal standard steps, like I'm kicking deep, and then I would just kick the ball down into the ground and it would pop straight up in the air and go ideally 11 to 13 yards. And, we would have our guys on the right side of the line. They would run, the first guys would run and just try and blow up those first line guys on the return guy while the ball's hanging in the air. And we'd have one guy, I think it might have been Dante Moncrief or somebody, who'd be trailing and he would just try and catch it and fall on the ground. Right. Well, we hadn't run it, and I'm hoping, let's run it against Bama, at Bryant-Denny, let's do it. And so sure enough, they call surprise on the side. And so we run it and we get it. And it works. We execute. We get the surprise on side. We're going crazy. We're celebrating. And then, of course, typical Alabama, there's a flag on the field that was thrown 5 minutes after the play even happened. And the referee calls offsides on the kickoff team. So we get a penalty. It pushes us back to the 25 or the 20-yard line. I can't remember. And we got a re-kick. So obviously we can't do the surprise on side. It just ruined all the hopes and dreams I'd had of executing the surprise on side at Bryant-Denny. And so we go and we kick off, and their return man is Trent Richardson. And I just remember being so mad that play had just gotten taken away from us. I was furious, and I kicked off from like the 20-yard line, and Trent Richardson catches the ball, and I'm just trotting down the field like, we're about to tackle him and get off the field, but I'm really mad, really mad, right? And so I'm running down the field, and I go from really mad to absolutely terrified when I realized that the hole was wide open, and it's literally Trent Richardson running full speed ahead at me. And I'm like, oh no, this is it. This is my time in life, and it's about to end. And but just right here, really quickly on this field in Alabama. But unfortunately, he's coming at me, and I'm just kind of bracing for impact, right? And at that same time, DT Shackelford comes out of nowhere and kind of hits Trent, kind of gets his arm right here. His head's on the backside of Trent. It just kind of rotates him, gets him off balance. And I saw my opportunity, and I just head down, just dove in there like a swimmer diving into the pool, and my head hit the ball, and the ball popped out. And so I run over. I can't believe it. I mean, we're laying on the ground, and DT had rolled Trent and kind of got his leg wrapped up underneath DT, and Trent actually had to get kind of limped off the field with his trainers. So I go to the sidelines, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? All the specialists are like, dude, you just caused Trent Richardson to fumble. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let's go. Let's freaking go. But anyways, it's a funny memory because I had no business that happening, but I'm glad it did because it's a good memory. We've had a lot of laughs over that story over the years.
That's awesome. You've mentioned buddies and teammates a lot. Who are guys that you kind of still keep up with on a daily, weekly basis?
Yeah, so some of the guys I would say I keep up with the most are going to be Will Martin, who was actually my roommate. He was a linebacker and played special teams. Will Denny, who was my long snapper. Nathan Noble, who is another kicker. Of course, Chris Conley, who's a holder. Tyler Campbell, punter. Bryson Rose, those guys, as well as Robert and John Ratliff. Robert was quarterback, and John was a receiver. And we do a football camp every summer called "You Got to Believe" football camp down in Jackson. That's in Robert and John Ratliff's dad's memory. And we've got, a bunch of our old players that come down for that. We've got Dante Moncrief and Mike Hilton, Trey Elston, Woody Hamilton's always been there, Channing Ward, Evan Ingram has been there, Chad Kelly, Bo Wallace, all those guys. So it's a really good opportunity for a lot of us to stay in contact. And it's really neat seeing those guys come back and give back. So, I mean, I know I'm missing some guys, but we got a really good group that stays in touch. And fortunately, now that I'm living in Oxford, I'm getting to see a lot more of these guys.
That's awesome. It's obviously, like I said, it's been fun to kind of get to know you through the years. And I know the real story of the All-American dream couple. The football player marries the Rebelette, both Ole Miss alums.
Yeah.
How is Haley and how's the family, and kind of give us a rundown of all of that, and
yeah,
we can wrap it up a little bit.
Haley's great. She's incredible. We started dating our sophomore year of college and have been together ever since. So we've been together for a while, and she stuck with me through the highs and lows of football. And so she she made it through that. She's definitely was planning on being with me for the long haul. So life's been great. We've been very blessed. We got a little girl named Lily Love. She's 2.5, and she's got me absolutely wrapped around her finger. So it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. So we're very blessed with our family and everyone's health and all that. So man, they're doing great, and I appreciate you asking.
Absolutely.
It's awesome to hear.
Girl dad life, man.
Man, it's the best. It's funny, when I was in college, I'd say, oh, I want to have all boys, I want to have football players, all this. Man, I'd be fine having 3 or 4 girls. I'm such a girl dad now. It's incredible.
It happens quick.
Absolutely. But
we'll send you off with a chance to defend your position here. we're taping these at times, and who knows when it'll come out. So I'm going to timestamp this, but 27 kicks missed in the NFL in week 5. And there's lots of people like me questioning kickers when I couldn't knock through a PAT with no rush out there on the field. Defend these NFL kickers that are missing the kicks, and maybe what the challenges are for these guys right now, because you're able, just like me, to sit on a Sunday and watch them not put it through the uprights.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I'm always going to have the back of the kicker, right? So it happens, but it is surprising. I mean, that's something that we've been talking through, is how many kicks we saw miss this weekend. And those guys are next level good. So, I mean, people can cuss them all they want, but I promise there's no better people on the planet anywhere, in whatever couch in any state. There's nobody better than those guys. So if they missed it, it was just an off day, because those guys, there's only 32 of them, and they're better than anybody in the world at it. So I got to have their back on that one. But yeah, I will say I'm surprised. However, I'll say I think these kickers nowadays are better, or getting even better than they've ever been. I mean, you're seeing guys like Justin Tucker hit a 66-yarder to win the game. I mean, it's just insane what these guys are doing and how consistent they really are. I mean, because even, you see their misses, but if you're a kicker and you know what you're looking at, or we're looking at things differently, right? I'm looking at their miss and how bad did they miss? Or like, was their ball flight just really different than the one that they just made? And it's not, it's just, they just barely missed the upright. The ball flight was identical to the one that went straight down the middle right before. It wasn't like he duck hooked it, or he just had a crazy spin on the ball and it shot out to the right or whatever. It's their mishits are so small. It's like a golfer having having just a slight mishit, right? So they're incredible. And they're getting paid a lot of money to do it. So good for them.
Justin Tucker was good from 66. Andrew Ritter would have been good from 65, Brandon. That's what we're gonna leave this with. But Andrew, appreciate the time. Glad to have you as a representative of the Rebels here in Oxford, and looking forward to meeting you in person here at one of these games.
Man, me too. I really appreciate y'all having me. This was a lot of fun, and excited to stay tuned for your other episodes. So, man, look forward to seeing y'all around, and thanks again.
Awesome. See you, Andrew.
See you guys.